All right, just got a couple special guys here, guests here on Leaf 4 Review. So we're going to get into it and enjoy.
Real quick introductions. Nook with CLE Eiroa Asylum.
Hello.
Nate with New Holland
Yeah.
Brewing and Spirits.
Yes.
And a couple other things that I'm sure you'll dive into.
Oh, yeah. Lots of stuff.
Two of my favorite things.
All right, this will be fun. We got a
collection.
We got a collection up here for sure.
A whole lot of stuff going on.
So what are we diving into first?
Well,
What cigar we're having? Nook hasn't.
well, it's also Nate's birthday right now.
It is
so-
Nate's birthday. My
Yeah.
God.
I'm
All right.
excited, yeah.
Shots.
This is a great way to spend a
Yeah.
birthday.
One moment, please.
Pause. We just had a good time hanging out and
Yeah.
smoking a lot of cigars, trying a lot of different bourbons today. Nate was generous to come out and introduce us to a lot of different spirits that a lot of the guys tonight hadn't had before. He's also has his retirement plan. That's
The
on
401k.
that's on the table right now.
Oh, yeah.
Soon to be. Apparently, this is the only bottle in Michigan, but
Yeah.
soon to be reaching a lot of us out here for
Yeah.
all the bourbon lovers out there.
Oh, I'm excited about
And
this.
I think,
Tell us about that bad
think,
boy.
Nate's going to tell us about it right now.
All right, so before we get into the cigars, we're going to talk this.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing
Alright,
whatever
alright.
the fuck we
Perfect.
want
Let's
to
get
do.
into
For
it.
everybody
Let's
that's
go.
It's your birthday.
Yeah, come on.
I just thought I'd just take the ball and run with it. So
No, I think it's great. I think it's here it is.
Just
So-
put all the pressure on Nate.
Organic
See how it
fun,
is.
man. That's all
Hey,
this is.
and that's what this is all about. It's fun, and I think that what we sometimes lose is the story. I mean, everyone's all about story, but what gets sometimes lost is the fact that there is a huge relationship between women and whiskey, and we sometimes we don't talk about it. We mostly think about dudes with beards drinking whiskey. And,
Some guy up in the mysterious
Talking
guy
about
up in the
women.
mountain.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But in the Wild West in particular, a lot of the quote unquote hooch was made by women. That's how you got it in saloons. That's women were making the whiskey while the guys were working on the Transcontinental Railroad or in the mines. And so we wanted to create a brand that honored those women and told their stories. So we started with St. Liberty's. That's our distillery. Our product's produced for us, and we make everything in pioneer branded spirit fashion to honor women. Our first one is the Birdie's Bear Gulch right here. That's a bourbon that's made in Austin, Texas, and shipped up to Lola Creek.
It's a cool
Montana.
bottle too, man. Old school.
Oh, we love it. We're real proud of the bottle. It's sort of like what you would an apothecary style bottle, something
Yeah,
you'd have seen
absolutely.
in a saloon or in a pharmacy at that time. And so that's Birdie right there. She's on the front. And
As I said, the best medication.
well, and that was Birdie was known for her medication. She stilled during Prohibition, so she had a speakeasy on her property.
He's like,
oh,
let me
there
get
it
the
is.
drop.
That's
Oh,
it. There's
the
no
last
more left.
use.
There's listen, guys out
residue.
there.
That was it.
That was the last residue in the state of
did you stick
Michigan
your tongue
right
in
there.
there, too?
It was done.
It was delicious.
Oh, I love it. Well, she was.
It's like that last bald eagle thing you eat. Tastes so much better.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
We got feathers. left,
Yeah,
though.
man.
Yeah.
Butter, garlic.
Yeah. So Birdie was a freed slave, and she was one of the few single women as a freed slave. She went to Montana and homesteaded by herself. An independent woman and a very strong person, but was very kind in spirit. So we wanted to tell her story. We don't claim anything other than bringing honor to her. And the whiskey gets shipped up to Montana, and we proof it on the same river that she's distilled off from.
Very
So,
cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's the retirement plan.
And it is.
401k in a bottle.
It is delicious.
We're really proud of it.
You're
so.
down to the last drop, huh?
Yeah.
Maxwell House is gonna get upset.
Okay, copyright.
So what do you got us smoking today, Nook?
Well,
Are we keeping secrets?
it's gonna be.
Dive into these bad boys.
Well, we started a project back in. So, I guess kind of like just bringing it back to, a little thing we just did tonight. Just bringing out Nate, and it's kind of weird. Like known him for a while,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we just reconnected again. But
Yeah.
our whole big thing was back in 2014. We did a collaboration with New Holland Cigars. New Holland.
New Holland cigar. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
They are now.
But anyways, it was we did a collaboration with New Holland, and we ended up making the Dragon's Milk bourbon barrel cigar. So a lot of stuff happened. We had the run for a little bit. We had to take it down, and we brought it back out again a couple years ago to commemorate New Holland's 20th year in business. It was also my boss's 20th year, in the cigar business. Kind of went hand in hand. I thought of a new name for the cigar. We brought it back out. It did very well. And now we are going to do a full-blown partnership again, bring it back out. Little FDA regulations I have to redo all the packaging and everything, but been playing around with a few things here and there. And so brought some little treats tonight. And
this is like in honor of Birdie. She was a rebel, and these are rebels.
You're a rebel.
I love the.
Just smell inside the can there too. Like
that's.
I
gotta
stick my
you
nose
can
in
already
the
get
aroma.
this from.
I get this. I get the bourbon. I get the whiskey. Like I actually could smell the.
Oh, he's already got one.
Perfect.
That is awesome.
Oh,
That is something.
That's fantastic.
So
Beautiful.
Pass that bad
we
boy
do.
Smell that.
We age our cigars different than everybody else does, and it's just it's a great partnership, man. One of the owners of the company, he's from Michigan. Obviously, New Holland with their roots, it's a Michigan-based company, and just playing around with a bunch of different things. Like we've tried a lot of blends, some stuff didn't work, and it's just the subtleties in the cigar. Like it needs to pair well with what you're drinking, and we don't want either the spirit or the cigar to overpower each other, and I think we nailed it just right, and it just complements it very well.
No, I don't think I asked you before. Is this different process or anything from the original cigar back 5, 6, whatever years?
It's the same process that we developed back in 2014.
Just perfected it.
But I've just been playing around with like different blends, different sizes. Back then we didn't really have too many blends. I have a little bit more to work with now, and it's just I just play around with different things, and hope you guys like it.
Well, it smells
Super
phenomenal.
excited about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It smells absolutely great.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. So, while we're cutting up here, and like what Nook was saying, the partnership with New Holland is an interesting one, because to get to the barrel that this is aged in, that process started with a bourbon or a rye. And so we make the rye, and once the rye is in process, we pull it out of the barrel, and we age our Dragon's Milk Stout in that same barrel that the rye was just in, or the bourbon.
Yep.
And Dragon's Milk, our reserves and our traditional Dragon's Milk, once that's aged and bottled, we actually put the rye back in the barrel, and we finish it for at least 90 days.
Yep.
So that's why we call it a beer barrel bourbon.
Yeah.
Because it's finished in a beer barrel. What's cool though is after that rye's been bottled, we have a beautiful barrel that's had both rye and beer in it. And so what do you do with an amazing barrel like that? You give it to a guy that knows.
And
Cigars.
it's different though too. Like we've actually recently we didn't do it at the beginning, and now living in Grand Rapids and just being out here, just giving me a lot more time to play around with things. With the process of making the beer, it's put in the barrel, it's pulled out, it's put back in the vat, it's pulled out, put back in the vat. There's the beer that you get here. It's removed a few times, and I've had variants that's only been done once, like we were talking earlier with when I brought the triple mash for you guys.
Oh, my favorite.
During the launch of that, they had the variant that it was only pulled out once, so it was very bourbon forward. So you can tell, like, with this, it's more refined taste, and this is the beer that is the mainstay of New Holland. That's what they're pushing forward, like, and you know, it's been pulled a few times in the barrel, out of the barrel, in the barrel, out of the barrel, and you know, when we get the barrels, and just pulling from like a pure stout barrel, like if we have to hold on to that for a while, the barrels can go funky after a while. But I've actually done some aging in a pure stout barrel. You get a lot of different nuances. So I'm not going to say which barrel I pulled this one from, but it gave me a lot of different nuances, and it's been pretty happy with that. I think it's very well balanced.
The thing I find interesting, this is more a question for Natus. You guys get what, like white oak barrels? You do. Most people think, oh, you know, whiskey first, but you guys do beer first, and then you do spirits.
Well, it's actually it's a combination. So it starts out with the bourbon first.
Yes.
But then
Charred barrels.
Charred barrel with the bourbon.
Yeah.
But then the beer comes in, and the bourbon's not finished yet. Even though we've pulled it out and we put the beer in, the bourbon gets finished.
So it still starts
So
with
it has that
bourbon.
beer.
Pull it out, put the beer in,
It's a
put the
total-
bourbon back.
Yeah, it's like a chicken versus egg
So
thing.
let me
It's
ask
crazy.
you, where are they going? Where is the one item going between the barrel and the other thing?
Oh, that's a secret.
No.
That's a secret.
Yeah, you can't divulge
And
that.
the thing is, I actually know that too.
Yeah, of course you do.
Of course. Yeah. All right.
Someone can have another drink.
Oh yeah.
No, you can't.
Yeah. But no, it is. It's a symbiotic relationship. You can't have one without the other.
Right.
And not just that, each complements each other. And this cigar really just it's not overwhelming. It's meant to fit into that mix and not take away from it. Everything builds upon itself, and it's really cool. I'm excited to be a part of the project.
You know, and this is like when we came up with this project. You know, it was a cool story. Like back in 2014, like it was Summer Beer Festival in Ypsilanti. You know, downtown by Depot Town. It's like one of the biggest beer festivals that the Brewers Guild has. And I brought Tom Lazuka, who is, you know, he's one of my best friends. He's my boss too, and he's the co-creator of Asylum. And I'm like, dude, you want to go to Beer Fest? Wasn't really big into beer and anything like that, but so we went, and you know, we had cigars on us. We got in early. We got tickets from one of the local pubs in Ann Arbor, Fraser's. So we got in early, just kind of roaming around, did our thing, and so he's like, no, I like that Dragon's Milk. I like the, he likes stouts. He wasn't really big into beer. Love bourbon, though. So we went over there, and we lit up cigars. And I'm like, no, well, they're not tapping Dragon's Milk yet. That was back when Dragon's Milk was just, it was rare.
Yeah.
And so back then, that was when New Holland was really pushing, it was Hatter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's when they were pushing it. That was their beer. So I'm like, all right, we're going to have to wait. So it was just funny. We're just kind of hanging around the area. We smoked. And, you know, this guy's like, are you guys smoking cigars? Tom's like, well, yeah, I'm sorry, man. Like, we're out in a park. He's like, no, man, I love cigars. I'm Brett Vanderkamp. I'm one of the owners of New Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that started. Tom's like, I'm Tom Lazuka. I'm the co-owner of Asylum Cigars, and that's how the whole thing started. We just hung out. We drank Dragon's Milk, and you know, all day, and it was just a fun time. We just started talking, and then Tom called Christian. Christian brought some blends, and all of a sudden he flew down to Detroit. Tom picked him up. We went out to Holland, and
That's cool.
the process was on the way. Just developed a different system.
Just a random meeting like that. That's
It
great.
was
That's it,
and whiskey. And
that's
beer.
it, man.
I will
was
tell
like-
you this is a perfect blend of both the beer and the whiskey. I mean, it really is. I taste both, just nuances of each. This is insanely well balanced.
That was
Nice job.
That's my little creation right there. I took a different blend that we had and
Nicely done.
just
Someone pat that man on the back.
I just thought that.
Not too hard. Not too hard.
So for those of the people that don't know, Nate, tell us a little bit about Dragon's Milk. What process, things about it.
Yeah, so Dragon's Milk's really cool. Not only is it a barrel-aged stout, but it's going to impart notes of chocolate, of coffee, and we take it even higher with our Dragon's Milk Reserve. So we let it go a little bit longer, and we sometimes, like Nook was saying, we'll change out the barrels, we'll change the process. We'll finish maybe in a rum barrel or something like that, not just our bourbon barrel, and that is what makes the reserve. What's neat though is this stout, well, we started in Michigan. Not to brag too much, but it's the #1 barrel stout in America, right?
Well, it's like I tell people, Dragon's Milk is the best year-round bourbon barrel-aged stout you can get. Period.
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 And at the price point, it makes sense. We really believe in being an everyday luxury for anyone. Like, this is a luxury item, but it's for anyone and everyone to be able to enjoy whenever they want, which is why there isn't any more that necessarily too much of that seasonality. People can get it literally across the country.
Yeah.
And this is
Like we were talking earlier, like looking on Instagram and stuff like that. Like over the week, that California guys celebrated the fact that they just got Dragon's Milk.
Exactly. Well, Dragon's Milk's been there. They just got our spirits.
Yeah.
And that's been real fun too. Is we're going in almost so. We couldn't have the bourbon and the spirit or Dragon's Milk without the bourbon first. But Dragon's Milk has now gone on before us into California and these other states, and it's got that name ID already. And it was so cool. It was just a natural transition, and California just opened up with our rye, with our beer barrel bourbon, and our Zeppelin blend, and it's just been amazing. And I think it lends itself to the Dragon's Milk, the idea of that share a legend. Which is, the legend is something that is built through the process, and the legend continues through each of us as we enjoy it. And it just lends itself right to your cigars. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, this is a great match. I can't even imagine what that would be like with that beer.
Well, we should probably open one then.
And it was,
Oh, you got one. Oh, there it is.
Fantastic.
And it was the thing though, like when we did this, it was like the first time that we bridged the gap between two very popular like vice items.
Sure.
Nobody had really bridged the gap between, at the time, like craft beer and cigars, and bourbon was taken off, and then craft beer took off. It was two big things, and we just happened to just partner up with another Michigan-based company, like with New Holland, that was doing both.
Yeah.
At the time. And we were both kind of really hitting stride at the same time. So it meant something. Like, they did a big article in Cigar Press with Tom and Brett. And it was just it was a very cool process, man. And then we had to pull the cigar for a reason, but then it got like this big cult following.
Because
Everybody,
of that.
yeah,
It might have helped, a
everybody
little bit.
wanted to.
Yeah.
But the thing was, like, Dragon's Milk wasn't everywhere yet. They were still, like, when we did this, it was still, like, Hatter forward. And then, with the transition, when we brought it back out, and I called it, like, Aged on 8th, paying homage to 8th Street, like, where the pub is in Holland, like, where Brett had a house, like, during when he went to college and stuff like that, like, where they started to try to find and, like, start the whole, like, New Holland, like, thing, though. That's when they signed the deal with Pabst, and then all of a sudden, now we're going to take the Dragon, we're going to run with it.
Yeah.
And then it became Dragon Forward. Hatter's that's their IPA, but we're gonna go. We started something here that nobody else had before. We're gonna go Dragon Forward.
Yeah.
We're gonna ride the dragon now.
Yeah.
And just ever since then, like that was 2017, and that's when we started hitting our stride. Like like Christian, like moving past like his. From Camacho and everything like that, and we just really started to hit our stride too, and it was like it's been a cool process. Like we've been growing like at the same pace.
Just a walk in the park, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hey, by the way, you can coin that. Hey, that could be a beer or a cigar. Walk in the park, how it all started.
So,
Well, think about that. In our first podcast, we did the CLE Connecticut. Very first podcast.
Yeah.
Ever.
Oh,
First
yeah.
show. And I mentioned, and I guess if you guys are coming straight at the same time, so you said Christian has been doing, how long has he been doing this? Cigars? 20 years now? 20?
over 20 years.
Over 20? How long has New Holland been making beer?
20.
Yeah.
They hit their 20th on the same time.
Hmm.
But look at the wait. I just wanted.
I wanted to
Like-
bring that
Yeah,
out
wait,
because
yeah.
you look at this burn and it's just
Perfect.
It's
It's like that.
amazingly perfect.
Yeah.
it's perfect across all these cigars.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get that because when you were talking about that earlier, I was
Earlier, yeah.
like, let's bring that in because how is that? What is it? Because we've talked about it. It's like, is it the burn? Is it the humidity? What goes into it? So
A lot of that has to go into it. But like earlier, I showed you guys the video, and one of the videos that I showed was that customer video of Christian talking about how our Honduran rollers roll cigars. Like like through like Honduras, like Nicaragua, like everything. A lot of them do that process called bucking, like when in the bunchers they're just just kind of like packing the tobacco against their hand. You're gonna get a lot of tobacco in the filler that just butts up against your hand, so you're gonna get a lot of tobacco that's packed on one side, and then when you light it, it's gonna burn uneven. And the way that the rollers at the factory, Christian's family's rollers, like it's like in a circular motion, kind of cupping the hand, and that's the way that they've always bunched their tobacco. And like at the beginning, when we were doing stuff in Esteli, with Asylum, and Christian was looking at the cigars, he's like, "No, man, I can't use these." Brought his guys down there, and we're gonna do it the way that we do in Honduras, like the way that the Eiroa family's always done things.
The proper way.
And that's the way that
Eiroa way.
that's the way the cigars, like everything that we make is gonna
I
burn
mean,
like that.
it's perfect.
It's
You got the
consistent,
perfect
too,
white ash.
through-
You've got the perfect. It just is. It looks like it's well structured. Even after a burn, it just has that after feel of just like this is a quality
Consistent.
cigar.
And
That
that's the
too,
thing, though.
draw
Like
is phenomenal.
you guys love the CLE products and everything. Like that comes out of our factory, Aladino, in Honduras, and they all burn like that. And then when Christian went to the Nicaraguan factory and said, this is the way we have to do things, that's a cigar coming from that factory. So it translates from the main family factory to the factory that we have in Nicaragua as well.
Something that something I thought was cool, and what I just did, I can still pick up the note. I'm a little ways into it, and it seems like it's almost consistently. I'm getting those flavors the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
It is.
cigars change over time. I get that.
It
This
does.
one's consistent
It
all the way
does,
through.
yeah.
It's
Why would I still be getting almost those notes of the? I feel like I can still, maybe not the spirits as much, but almost the beer. I can almost still smell the beer.
That maltiness.
Remember when earlier when
Yeah.
I was just doing the Eiroa.
Yeah.
So the way that we do it, like, it is different than what other companies do. But having the cigars laid out in there, like when the cigar breeze is taking in all the humidity, and it's almost like kind of like tainted like humidity, like it's getting dragged through the whole cigar. So the cigar is breathing, taking in the moisture and everything, so it's going through the whole
Okay,
cigar.
that makes a lot of sense.
and just the
It's
smoke
just
is
enough.
The
It's
smell
just
of the
enough.
smoke
It is.
Yeah,
It's not
so
overpowering.
It's
No.
it's not a quote unquote flavored cigar,
Yeah, I mean, because you don't want it to be.
and it's not though, and that's the thing though. When you might smell it like when you obviously because that's an airtight can, you smell it, but it just complements everything like very well. Like you get the subtle, like the back hints of it.
The subtlety of it. It's not
Yeah.
like boom.
Right. It
Here's,
doesn't
here's
light up your
beer and
lips.
beer and barrel and
And that was never our intention to do that. It wanted to pay homage to the spirit and just to be just those nuances, just to be a perfect pair.
The blend of the two is.
I wanted to be a perfect pair to go along with.
Super smooth.
Yeah.
Do we have a name yet?
It's aged on 8th.
It's unfortunately, as Nook said, not on the market yet, but we're getting there.
We're getting there.
What I like
Some little
earlier,
hurdles, but I'll get it out there.
When is there not hurdles with cigars? Unfortunately.
So earlier when I was smoking this and actually having some of the dragon's milk, it actually kind of seems like it enhanced the flavor of the drink
Yeah.
over everything. So it was just like over complimentary to the whole drink. It was absolutely perfect.
Can you tell us
Awesome.
the makeup
Thank you.
of this cigar? Tobacco?
It's Nicaraguan.
Nicaraguan?
Yeah.
Through and through.
It goes perfect.
That one is? Yeah, that one is. But, and that's the thing though, like with a lot of cigars, like, you know, I used to be in the retail side for 15 years and just, you know, that was some of the questions that I always, you know, I asked people, you know, when they would come in, I just want a special cigar tonight. I'm going out. I'm like, okay, what are you gonna drink? You know, eat, you know, and all that stuff. Like, and what you know, eat or drink, and you know, smoke a cigar, it could actually like clash with it too.
Yeah.
And so that's what this cigar does. Like, it goes perfectly with, you know, what we're having right now.
And it's like the cherry on top.
You know, even with any other bourbon too, but it's going to complement that.
We talk about it a lot. We talk about matching cigars with beverages quite a bit, and it's just great. Sometimes it's difficult.
challenging
Sometimes you
sometimes.
can't do it.
No,
but
and
you know,
it's-
this cigar goes perfectly with
And
that darker beer, that bourbon.
and to be
Rye.
honest
Wine.
too, there were some blends that we tried. And I've also done recently, and it just clashes. It doesn't taste well. Like, I've done it, I've aged them, smoked it, and you know, I've had, you know, the spirits too, and it didn't work. So
Yeah.
it's not like you can just throw anything out there. Like, a lot of companies do the thing where they just spray the outside or do whatever.
Right.
They're just masking, you know, the taste of a garbage cigar.
Yeah.
And, you know, the name sells it. And it is what it is.
You
And
took a
and then
cigar
you're-
that's
and
good
then
by
you're-
itself and made it better.
Or, you know, you take a garbage cigar, spray some stuff on it, call it this, and then your throat pays the price the next day. That was not our intention. We want a well-balanced cigar to complement, you know, the spirit.
Purposely chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
With a
happenstance.
Because, you know, we have a process, and I've never deviated from that to make sure that it's true to what we're trying to
It's
accomplish.
fantastic.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed before we got on here and started talking. Look, you were talking about the notes that you take as far as the time and barrel, and how meticulous and how honestly there is this almost trial, or I don't want to say trial and error. I say trial and evolution. As we
absolutely.
start, you know, and I just loved hearing you talk about the process that you're doing and how long and how that changes per leaf and what that's like.
Yeah, honestly, like when we started this, and you know, back with the original one, you know, with Tom Lazuka, and you know, they took the cigars. Like, we had no idea trying this new method, like how long it would take. And he's like, "Listen, just try it for this." And then, you know, we had guys pull them out, and it was almost like you could wring out. Like,
Yeah.
the humidity,
We
like,
talked-
how much
I was
moisture.
going to talk about that.
We
We
did
talked
a-
about that.
You know, because
Yeah.
we had no idea how much moisture, like, the barrel would throw out. You know, and they didn't know either. Like, because the way that we were trying things had not been done before, and we wanted to try a new method, and we just kept backing it off,
Yeah.
and then when the barrels get older too, you have to readjust to, you know, how long they're in there, and then when it's time to just call it quits with the barrel. Because you can rejuvenate a barrel to a certain point. You know, talking with New Holland, there's a method you can do to get a certain amount of life back out of the barrel, but then that only lasts so long.
Yeah.
And it's important to note that like barrels are like people. No two are exactly alike.
Yeah.
Even if honestly, it can come from the same tree, even in just different parts of the tree.
We've had variations between
Yeah.
And
It's a natural product.
And you know
It
what the
is,
thing
yeah.
is, and we've noticed differences in them
Right.
between blends. Like when we did off the first run, people actually, and I actually tasted it, and just not really like us being new, like with New Holland and ourselves,
Yeah.
like throwing out all those barrels and doing that in like on a second, like different runs, we could actually taste the difference in the different batches. Same process, everything was the same, but
That one thing.
there was a difference.
So, in other words,
So,
it's
It's
not gonna be a problem for the cigar, but
no, it was never a
consistency can be
No.
hard.
It wasn't not consistency really.
Oh damn!
Ashed. Finally ashed.
Right on the table.
Good thing for a
Yeah.
small cigar.
That's why we can't have nice things.
All over your cutter. It's
Yeah.
okay.
You
My
know,
God.
it's not
Eh. I know a good cleaner.
not really a consistency thing, but it's it was just different.
Right.
Still tasted good. It was just different based on the barrels. Like, and it was the same thing that New Holland was using to put out all their product. It was just
And
It's kind of fun.
Just
Though.
different
It
tastes.
adds
Yes.
some variety. To
Yeah,
it,
and it was
'cause
the thing,
also
though.
No two are going to be the same.
and our customers like picked up on it. They're like, oh man, I kind of like this one a little bit better. I love the other one too, but this one just had a little bit more of this. Like or they were like, well, this new one it was okay. I like the other one better, but it was the thing. Like we didn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
The blend was the same. The process was the same. The barrels were the same age. It was just a wood.
Beyond your
Just
control.
a different.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
don't say trial and error. I say trial and evolution because it really is something. You know, so when you're distilling, you know, there's a lot of, and I'm sure everyone that's watching is typically aware of how blends happen and why brands are going to blend their barrels because you know even though it's in the same rick house, it can be in the same rick house, just a different
Yeah.
rack.
Yeah.
And everything, it doesn't happen the first time either. You're not
No,
like, oh my
no.
god, I distilled this bourbon once, perfect. I did it once.
Temperature, humidity,
Yeah,
barometric
so-
pressures.
So there's a reason why you have single barrel picks. There's a reason why you have blends. There's a reason why Old Number 7's called Old Number 7, and it's because you do want to get to a point where it has to be consistent, especially for the end consumer and the end experience. It needs to be consistent, so we do blend it. But I did want to highlight that fact that no two barrels are alike, and the cigars
Absolutely.
are just as special as everything else that goes in it. But
You know, just kind of ran these off, and it wasn't the process I normally do, but I'm actually pretty happy with them.
Well, these are fantastic. I mean, halfway through, it's still just like you just let it up.
it's so great.
No
And that
deviation.
subtleness is still there.
Yeah,
Just
no
awesome.
deviation of
That's what I wanted to
flavor.
know.
No,
Like-
it's perfect.
Yeah, it's great. It's phenomenal.
I just think it's real fun that all of this can come together. And how many times do you have that perfect drink or that good conversation and that cigar and just to have it all fit together, but also not just to have it all fit together, but to have it under, you know, one sort of brand identity. You know, when I say that, you know, it is a partnership between the two companies, but it is this identity and this surrounding the idea of the dragon. And
Yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
The flavor notes on these, it is incredible. I mean, you get that milk stout, you get that stout, you get that, you know, you get that bourbon flavor, you get all of the flavors from the tobacco. I mean, it's just, there's so much going on this cigar, so much stuff happening with it, and very pleasantly, you know, I mean, I all the way through this, I haven't gotten anything a one over another. You know, very well balanced, and you know, I mean, a pretty amazing product. Can't wait for these to come out. Really can't.
Thank you.
And I never got a chance to try the original.
I didn't either, unfortunately.
That's
But-
the unicorn. That's our that's our unicorn, like in the cigar industry. And you know, there's some in the beer, you know, and everything like that too. But you know, that's a term thrown around a lot in our industry. There's that unicorn out there you're trying to find.
Yeah.
There's still some out there. I've had a lot of customers just go out, try to find them, buy them all up.
Yeah.
So they were out there. The original one was one size. It was a Churchill size. It was a 52 by 7. And I know one store in Michigan that's holding on to them in their own private stash. They've actually taken them out of the store. And,
So it's not like, oh, where'd that box go? I don't know.
nope, they've actually pulled them, and it's actually not too. It would be in my my journey when I do this side of the state. So I'm gonna actually ask them if they could ever bring those out over. I can purchase them from them.
Buying back your own cigar.
Yeah.
Alright.
They're holding on to them because they love the beer, they love the bourbon, and
Do you have any of those unicorns in your own personal collection from that day, from those
don't.
days? No, nothing.
I think I have one.
One. Ooh.
One.
And they're meant to be smoked.
They are, but it's his baby. It's tough to pull out the one you have left.
He's making new babies every day.
Yeah. And I've got
Spreading the seeds.
there's two more blends that I've been messing around with. I've got really good feedback on them, and
Can you share any of that with us?
we'll see.
So
We'll see.
mysterious.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
so mysterious.
We'll
So
see.
Nook, how did you
I don't
get?
know. They're in Grand Rapids right now, so
How'd you get started in the cigar game?
this is my 97, 98 I started. It's a part-time job, man. Just wanted something else to do. Going to Michigan, and it was in Livonia, like where I grew up, and just it was a part-time job, and my stepdad actually got me into cigars, and I just kind of started reading up on them, reading Cigar Aficionado, and just kind of liked the lifestyle. I met Benji Menendez. His family, famous in cigars. Menendez and Garcia, H. Upman, Monte Cristo, like from the Cuban days, and just met him. And he came into the store, telling us stories and everything, and that pretty much
Sold
got
it.
me hooked. It was just very interesting. I was doing so much stuff in college. I was doing the store, I was a DJ, I was doing a whole bunch of stuff except for like going to class. And just traveling all around, doing my thing, and it was something that was interesting to me. And took a lot of time off, just came back, but it was the industry as a whole, just kind of, it was intriguing to me. And then took a break for a while, and got called back, and we opened up a store in Ann Arbor in Halloween of 04. Yeah. And it was awesome. And then we sold it in 2012. Needed something to do. And Christian had sold Camacho. His non-compete was done. Got a call. Said, listen, can't talk about it. And are you in or are you out? I'm like, fuck it, I'm in. I was the first employee with the company. We played the video today about the first days, and I launched the company, and the rest is history, man. Just riding the wave. I've smoked everything Christian's ever put out. I believed in him. Tom Lazuka, with Asylum, he was my rep. He's one of my best friends, and we're all family in this company. And just, I've loved every minute of it, man.
You say
I just love the industry.
Tom was your rep. Was Asylum before Christian started doing CLE?
No. That was all the same. Tom was Tom was Calibri Tom. He sold me Calibri lighters. Actually, he owned the Jets Pizza in Livonia that my parents used to buy from way back in the day. But that was
That's a
before
story.
that was
That's a
before all
story.
that.
Yeah, that's diving real deep right there.
Anyways, but no.
Get a free,
a lot of us
free
in
lighter
the-
with every pie.
a lot of us in the industry, you can talk to Mike Nolan or like other people that own stores in Michigan, and Tom was Calibri Tom, and then Christian broke away from doing the independent reps, and he was trying to find direct reps. Then Tom became, through his help, through the help of his best friend Mark Hayes, he became Camacho Tom. So he was my Camacho rep, and then when they sold to Davidoff, he became Davidoff and Camacho. But yeah, so that's how I met him.
So a long history.
Yeah, very
Now
long history.
We talked about it, Nate.
Yeah.
How you got into New Holland and your own spirits and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
It's a funny story how I met him too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
very funny story.
I think it goes back to values and what we really believe in life, and that's what everyone wants to do and follow their path. And my path took me down the corporate realm, the very corporate realm, and I was doing whatever it took to climb the ladder. And
You met my dad in that too.
I did, yeah. I met your dad in that, and it really was one of these things where I started this path. I was very successful, and I don't apologize for that success. I was really proud of the work that I'd done, but to get there, I was not proud of the compromises I'd made in my own personal life. My health was suffering, my marriage was suffering, and really something had to give. And so I walked away from that corporate career to figure out who it is and what it is that I want to do in this world, and why I want to make a difference. And I took the knowledge that I'd gained and started a small drinkware company. We created the original Tin Cup Company, and his dad actually helped me in the production process, which was amazing. That's how I met Nook. And when you do something, that way, people start to take notice, and so people just started to reach out, and these collaborations start to come along. And our drinkware was really based in this Western history. And I'm actually drinking from the original Tin Cup. And what was fun is this is from the railroading days when they were building the Transcontinental Railroad. All the railroad workers would drink whiskey or whatever. And the Wild West was rough on drinkware. So they turned to the materials around them, like tin, to make cups that wouldn't break. And what got lost in history was that the tin changed the taste of the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And we now know it's because they were getting poisoned by heavy metals.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
Which we should say, disclaimer, it says Tin Cup Company, but it's stainless steel. It's
Correct.
Not tin, so you're not going to die if you buy
no,
one.
no,
Right.
no. So again,
There
just
is a
like
big
Birdie. Yeah, just like Birdie.
different taste difference.
Yeah.
We do honor.
Let's go to
the
lead.
tradition. Yeah.
We can paint it.
The original lead cup.
I'm gonna take a
But
pee
no,
break.
but no. So yeah, we use stainless steel, but we took that history, we went that route of honoring the history and the story, making it in a traditional way, but using stainless steel, and doing drinkware. Obviously, whiskey comes into play, and people come out of I don't want to say come out of the woodwork, but come around to support you. Success has many fathers, if you know what I mean, and failure's an orphan. And so a lot of people started to come out and reach out with these different opportunities. And really, that was what I decided I'd wanted to do in the first place, was to create jobs, to create a positive work environment, but also to create an area of collaboration. And that's sort of what we did. And so, my partners came to me before that. They'd reached out, and we started the whiskey thing. We actually used, I had some import-export experience as well, and we've done a lot in other realms in the alcohol world. And Brett, the owner and founder of New Holland, reached out to us, again, to help them take that to market. So it's just been a wild ride. And one that I don't regret, and one that I'm really proud of, and very grateful for.
And when do we expect this whiskey to hit the market?
The whiskey's already on the market, and it's on the market in a couple of states right now. In Michigan, the shipment's actually on the road right now, so we're in the books in Michigan. We have a distributor in Michigan. You can see it on shelves in liquor stores, probably starting in the next 2 to 3 weeks. For sure, throughout November, it'll be throughout the whole state. Get it at their favorite shop for around $44 a bottle, $45.
Yeah.
So
Very reasonable.
yeah, we want we want to honor people and their traditions, but we also want to make it approachable for everyone, and that's just sort of part of what we do. Our drinkware, which is completely made in the state of Michigan, paying real wages, real jobs. It's still only $30 a cup. It's affordable. I mean, it's not cheap, but that's what it costs, and it's affordable.
Those guys are down to earth too.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
met the guys that met them.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that make the cups, and those guys
Well,
are awesome.
and as you said before, we talked about the cup. Is it's made in Michigan. It's $30. You buy the cup. You're never gonna need to replace it.
Oh,
But
no.
if you do,
You have your straws too.
I do.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
if you
got a
do,
lifetime
lifetime
guarantee.
warranty. But
Yeah.
you shouldn't need to replace
Oh,
it
no,
unless
we-
you run it over
and-
with a semi. But
Which we did that, and it didn't break. It didn't. It chipped the concrete, and the cup was fine. I mean, that's still drinkable my cup.
You
It's
still
not
have
this one, but
you still have the straws too.
oh yeah. So so the original Tin Cup Company, as a drinkware company, we don't just do the Moscow Mule style mugs. We do like a little ball whiskey tumbler. We have our 2-ounce tiny tin shooter glass, and then we trademarked and have the last straw, and the idea of stainless steel straws and the sustainability element. I mean, being in Michigan, we're surrounded by the Great Lakes, and I just want to honor the environment. And there, honestly, I mean, there's waste in the manufacturing process. We want to capture and collect and be as responsible as we can with that. Want to be as transparent as we can with that. And really, is it okay if I say fuck on this thing? Sure. Okay, yeah. Fuck
you can
is
say
just
whatever
dead.
the fuck you want.
Well,
It's your birthday.
It's a mess, yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Well, I was just going to say fuck single-use plastic. Like the idea that plastic is out there, and it has its place in the market, but these straws, people have them just one time, and they'll literally be around for millennia, and it never breaks down.
Well, I don't think they solved the problem with paper straws either.
Oh no, those things are terrible.
Yeah,
Let's not get into the straw debate.
No, that's garbage.
Yeah.
I do want to
Let's chop down more
compliment
trees.
you on the on that blend and that whiskey. That just has that nice old world style whiskey
you.
flavor. It really does.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a bourbon. It falls under all the classifications to allow us to call it that. But it's got a lot of rye in the mix, and so there's a lot of rye in the mash bill, and so it finishes like a rye. It is
so different.
When we set out to create this, we wanted to be one of a kind, and we wanted to be good, but we also wanted to be different because I just think it's a neat place in the market, and so and being different can sometimes be opposing. Not everyone's going to love it, and I appreciate that people have different taste buds and profiles and palates. Just
It was
everything.
Yeah, it was very good, man. Like
Very cool.
I love ryes,
Yeah.
and in that one, it was. You kind of told me it was going to be different off the jump,
Yeah.
and it was. A lot of vanilla off the top, and
Okay.
and then at the end, the very very back, I'm like, I taste rye.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh,
It was something that I found one thing that maybe I could put close to it, but not really. It was just it's different than anything else that's out there, and I think it's going to do very very well.
It has that old world flavor
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
It has that.
Yeah.
You when you drink that, you feel like you're in an old prohibition speakeasy that you're having a drink. It has that old
Absolutely.
Forester quality.
Absolutely.
It has that
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
old school quality to it, which
No, I agree.
which I enjoy.
Oh, I'm really blessed. I'm really grateful. And yeah, we don't claim any of like Birdie's recipe or any. I want to be really straightforward with that. But we do proof it on the same river she distilled off from in Lowell Creek, and so it is definitely something that I just feel with that apothecary style bottle. It just feels good in the hands.
It
We've
does.
got the St. Liberty stamped into the glass. We got Birdie's story on the back and the foil, the gold foiling on the lettering. Like we
Just
just
compliment to the history
Yeah.
of it.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
love the bottle.
Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Thank you.
Even like the tint to it too.
Oh yeah,
That's old school.
Yeah, the
Oh,
old brown.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We do have other products in the mix that are coming out and they're planned, but the
There's a little
bottles
bit
change.
left in there.
It's the bottle that doesn't quit.
Yeah,
Oh,
doesn't want to
really?
give up.
Oh,
It's your birthday, get
Oh,
it.
here it is.
Doesn't
here
want
it
to
is.
give up. Come on, finish that off.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's on my.
Wasted
Yeah.
No.
The last bit of Michigan
Oh, no,
whiskey
it'll
that's in
refill.
Michigan's on your shirt.
Yeah, and it'll refill though. It's
That was the
never in
last
bottle.
drop of the only bottle in
Wait a
Michigan.
minute. Someone
for
check that again. We
Probably
said last drop last
the
time.
last
Yeah.
4 hours.
It's a magic
You
bottle.
were like, Nook, did you get it? I'm like, no, man. Like, you said it was the last drop, and you just didn't get it. So, I had some.
Oh, is there
And
still
then,
some?
There's still some right there.
It doesn't want to end. My God. Birdie doesn't
all
want.
you,
Birdie
buddy.
doesn't want us. Birdie doesn't want us to stop.
No.
She doesn't want us to
Birdie doesn't
stop.
want to stop,
Yeah.
so.
But I am.
But,
So,
no. So,
I'm so grateful you guys will let me come on and share our story a little bit, share the story of the companies and the relationship with New Holland and CLE.
Well,
We're
but
grateful
we're
to have you.
we're looking at something else on the table here. You know,
Oh, yeah,
when Nate and I got to talking, which I was surprised that I was actually going to deal with Nate, and it's been awesome since
Yeah.
we met prior
Yeah.
and started in the tin cup journey, and I just kind of poked the water and just tried the product, and it's we were playing the podcast I was on before, and just stuff that wasn't aired, like just doing the taste test between the two. And if you pick up the product and you actually taste, just pour whatever spirit you want in a regular glass and then do it in the tin cup, there is a difference. It takes away that, like, the unnecessary, I don't know, this is the way I take it, takes away that unnecessary bite that's usually, and because we talked about, like,
Yeah.
like how the copper came about and the Moscow
the
things
Moscow
and,
Gold
and all that, like
Yeah.
to cover
and
up
then how
from,
they were poisoning people.
from garbage.
Well, and so, yeah, to talk to that a little bit, it is something that we're really careful about. Is I don't want to affect the nose. I don't want to I don't
the
want
garbage
metal.
ginger beer.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
made it.
In the 50s, yeah.
But then
yeah.
when you actually use good
We gotta
stuff,
sell it.
and then you
Yeah.
do that in his
Yeah.
product, like it
Yeah.
actually like, all right, well, it kind of burns, but
Yeah.
no. But if you just do straight up,
Good burn.
it actually brings out more of the notes and everything of whatever your scotch or bourbon, whatever. Actually brings out the notes more so than having it out of the like the glass.
There's just
Yeah.
something about that heavy
Yeah.
metal glass.
Yeah.
I also
that feel.
I also like too that it keeps your drink cold no
Oh,
matter
yeah.
what. I mean
Yeah.
that temperature is translated into that mug, and in a hot day, I don't care what you're drinking out of that glass. It's great.
It is.
You know?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It really it's really fun, and I think that we always say the tin cup challenge. Make your cocktail in your normal glass and pour half of it into our cup and try it side by side. The reason is because of the stainless that we're using. We're using food grade stainless, but this isn't the stuff that your Yeti's made from. This is forged for us. This is Michigan. This is really something that's special. And whenever people hold it, they realize it's special. But it becomes a part of them, and it becomes a part of the conversation because it's literally going to be here the rest of your life.
I love it because I actually got to witness
Yeah.
like
The creation.
the original ones actually being forged and made. Like
Yeah.
I stood there with my dad, and he's on the phone with Nate, and that's actually like how we got to know each other.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
standing in the shop
Yeah.
watching this dude with his beard, like just banging these things out.
You
It
have
was
one of the
awesome.
Literally
first-
banging
Yeah.
these things.
Literally,
I
yeah,
actually
yeah.
have.
One of the first 10.
I have one of the first 10.
Yeah.
I have the Tiny Tin too.
Yeah.
I have,
Yeah.
and it was like right off the line, like
Yeah.
made. Like
That's the thing, like
I
what-
actually know how to get to the shop
Like what,
too.
what
where
Nate
they
said.
make 'em.
This is Michigan product. This
Yes.
is Michigan people making. This
Yes.
is not, like you said, Yeti. It's not some machine
It's
stamping these things
It's
out.
in a
left
place
and
that looks
right.
like a house
Yeah.
Yeah.
that makes these things.
Well, and because of the process, because of the way it's stamped, and the guys that are making this, no two are going to be exactly alike. Just like the barrels we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
This cup, it's not going to. There are no two identical cups. Just like the people that enjoy it, everyone's different, and our cups are too. So, yeah, I love it. We talked about my retirement
Yeah.
account. This is my retirement
Yeah.
account. We put everything we have into it, and so you're sitting next to guys that have put our life's work into this. You'll see
Yeah.
passion. If Brett were sitting here, you would see he has just as much
Absolutely.
passion about his products and his company and what he's built. What he's built is truly something great. New Holland's the fourth largest. Well, it goes back and forth between the fourth and fifth largest distillery in the state of Michigan. and then by volume, the spirits, it's the largest.
Like his spirit story is amazing. Like
Oh yeah,
I remember at the 20th anniversary when we relaunched the Dragon's Milk cigar under, it was this packaging, aged on 8th. Brought it back out for their 20th anniversary, and when Brett gave his speech, it was just awesome.
Yeah.
Like he was out there. He gave a shout out to us, and Christian. It happened to coincide with Christian's 20th anniversary. But just how him and his buddies from college, like they had this dream to do this, and
Yeah.
like at home college, and just
Yeah.
in this house, and they just started to brew beer, and just like if you haven't taken the tour, like to go to where they make some of the spirits, the old stills that they have,
Yeah.
and the fact that they've actually given back too. Like they were kind of gifted something like the hoppers or stills or whatever you call it, like to make the beer, and then they passed that on to
Yeah.
I think some of them went to Shorts.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's the whole thing of like just giving back, and just it's just a cool story.
Yeah.
Like everybody in Michigan, and that's like the whole thing. Like with Tom, the co-creator of Asylum, bonding with Brett. That's Asylum is almost like kind of like Michigan made. Going with Brett, and how they made their story, and then helping somebody else out, like doing Shorts, and like letting them have their time to do their stuff, and
Yeah.
it's just a good thing, man. Like
Yeah.
just following your dream.
Absolutely.
And but I was gonna get to, we went through bourbons and all this, and you also have this that you introduced to me before the tailgate season for the season of Michigan.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And
about
you
this.
told me to bring this out. You gave me a half a bottle, and you're like, Nook, bring it out to your guys, have them try it.
Yeah.
I put it on Instagram and everything. I'm not a huge vodka guy. I always like good spirits, and this is amazing. And I'm gonna let Nate talk about that too.
Yeah, so Lake Life Vodka we just launched this summer. It just was a little late to make it to the whole summer, but we're really proud of it. Lake Life Vodka is the rebranding and the rebirth of our vodka line that we're doing, and we want to encompass Lake Life means something different to everyone, and we all have an experience, whether it's the Great Lake that's sitting outside here right now, or it's that family lake that the cottage has been on forever that you've been to. We all have these journeys and these experiences, and so we wanted to encapsulate that in a bottle. So we created a bottle that is really unlike any other bottle on the marketplace. It almost looks like a water bottle. It's just bright. It's refreshing. It's clear. It's crisp. But the vodka itself, vodka's changed a lot. And when I say that, vodka's still a neutral spirit, and when people get into these crazy flavored vodkas and stuff, vodka's vodka. It should be a base spirit. You don't need this crazy stuff added
Cotton
to it.
candy.
Yeah, none of that. But
Grass. That's actually a flavor from Pinot.
oh, that sounds
grass.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's like those little jelly beans.
Yeah.
No. But no, this
Jelly
vodka.
belly.
Yeah. Well, how do we get there? The vodka though. This stuff though. So what has changed in vodka over the decade has really been the mash bill. So it is a neutral spirit, but the mash bill, people think of the Russian vodka as being like potato based or something. We've moved to a grain base and to corn. We're gluten free, and gluten free is obviously something that a lot of people say and think it's a buzzword, but it really does change the palate a little bit. It's still a neutral spirit. Like it's meant to be. It's subtle. It's meant to be enjoyed maybe with a mixer or something like that, or lemonade. But yeah, it's cool. The price point on it is our big thing, because we talked about everyday luxury for anyone. The price point on this bottle right here is it's like the same as Tito's. I mean, it's really the same price, and it's Michigan. It's Michigan made.
Michigan vodka.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like Michigan water, and so yeah, it's something we're
So
really
much
proud of.
smoother though too.
Oh, it is. Yeah, we did a side by side on. I don't want to just throw someone else under the wheels of the bus, but I'm just saying it
Why
is
not?
very similar.
Fuck it.
Well,
How many times have you still done this?
It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
If it's smoother, it's smoother.
Yeah. So it's going to go
And it
through
is.
the still, 3 times, but we have all the columns, so it all depends on how people count it. People will say it's like, triple distilled or 18 times, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it goes through the still several times, and it is very clean, very crisp, and
It's all in the water, man.
yeah, it is. It's the water and the fact that people always say the burn, it doesn't really have that burn per se.
It doesn't.
It's very very clean, very crisp.
The first time I had it was we were having our meeting at the Knickerbocker.
Yeah.
And you're like, Nook, have you had this? I'm like, no. I'm like, I've seen you on Fox Grand Rapids,
Yeah.
making your. I'm sitting there getting ready to go to work in the morning,
Yeah.
and I'm drinking a cup of coffee, running back and forth, packing my suitcase, blah blah blah, and he's on there hawking drinks on Fox Good
Slinging the
Morning.
sauce. You can't
Getting
drink
them
all day.
hammered.
Yeah, you can't drink all day
Like,
if you don't start in the morning.
You guys don't see that because you're not in the Grand Rapids market, but he's out there
Yeah.
slinging cocktails. But I'm like, no, man. I'm like, I haven't had it. So I had it straight up, zero burn,
Yeah.
and I loved it.
Yeah, thanks. We're really proud of it. And I think it was cool, and just to get back to the history a bit of all of this, New Holland changed the laws in Michigan. Brett Lobby Lansing
Absolutely, you
to
did.
get the laws changed to distill spirits. Before that, only apple brandy was allowed in the
Yep.
state. So literally, New Holland is the first distillery. And that's sort
So
of
when are you putting on an
Very
apple
true.
brandy?
they already have one. They already have one. You got to go to the store on Pub on 8th there to the gift shop.
Yeah.
You can try some of that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
He told that story. 20th anniversary.
okay.
Very proud of that, and
Well,
they
being
did.
that,
They did, and people just don't know that.
yeah.
It's the story. It's a story that's not out there.
No, it's not talking about
and,
that
and
much.
that's not something that Brett does. He's not going to boast about it or anything, but they absolutely did. They opened up a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities
For everybody else.
Yeah.
everybody else in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. We're real proud of that. But like you said, it's not in the forefront. What is in the forefront? We do these subtle things that I always like. So the windmill, which is on all of our products. It's really small on here because we really want the product Lake Life to stand on its own. But you'll see the windmill across all of the brands, and that's the homage to Holland. But also the dragon, tying the dragon to the windmill has been a huge thing for us to do. And in the subtle things, whether it's in our packaging, what's cool, since we're the first in Michigan, the still that we use, we bought the first still that was licensed in New Jersey after Prohibition was
Yep.
like
Nice.
that still.
Wow.
The it's like serial number 003. It was one of the first in the country after Prohibition was lifted. And that pot still,
Wait.
it's a copper pot still. Oh, you got a
I think
photo?
I think I have a picture of it.
You have a picture of it? I don't. Do you guys edit it? Can you put the picture
No.
up on there?
Nope.
This is
Oh, this
We
is
might.
all-
This is
we
all.
can
This
figure
is
something
one
out.
go.
We might. Yeah. No, the pot still. It's beautiful. It's really cool.
We'll find
to
a way
see.
to put the picture up.
Well, it's really cool to see, and that is just going back to these subtle things to saying we were the first, and so we bought the first still that was licensed in Jersey. Oh, there it is. This is the pot still.
Oh yeah.
It
That's
is.
old school.
That's
It's
Oh,
really old
Yeah,
school.
we need to get
Steamer
we need to
tank.
get that picture.
Okay,
I'll send
well,
it to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hold it up to the camera.
Yeah, hold it really close. Do you see this? Is it clear? Can you see this now? Yeah. Ta-da!
Zoom in at home.
Yeah. Oh, Van White needs
But
to
yeah.
worry. You might be taking.
Yeah.
Well, we always
But
love
if-
having you
but
guys
if you
up
do
here. We
take-
really do.
But if you do take the tour in Holland, which they do on Saturdays, that is there.
Cool.
That is.
I'm
over there.
happy you guys picked the windmill and not wood shoes.
Those aren't comfortable.
Little
No,
Dutch boy
not
with a
comfortable.
sticker on the-
Yeah, right.
I'm surprised I still have that picture on my phone.
Never know what you might find on there. I'm glad you didn't swipe
Listen,
left
man,
or right.
I knew you were gonna tell the story, so I had that picture.
He was,
Oh,
he was
okay.
prepared. He was
Yeah,
ready.
there you
He's like,
go.
I got it. It's right here.
That picture was from like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I never find it. I'm sure I have one too on my phone. I'm not gonna find that. Yeah. So yeah, thanks again though.
Yeah,
guys.
it's
This
been
has
good.
great.
I'm glad
Yeah,
we
it's
could,
been
glad
awesome.
we could
We're
have
trying
you
to
guys.
enjoy this right down to the very last
Yeah.
bit. so we
I
can't
literally
hold it
melted my
anymore.
fingertips off. I can't have any more.
Awesome.
Out of this
Thank
thing.
you guys. Thank you
This
very much.
cigar,
Appreciate
I
it.
can't wait.
Delicious. the entire time.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Through and through.
It's hard to
Even
put
with the
down.
burnt finger feel.
Yeah, I tasted
Yeah, my lips are hot.
I tasted some of my fingertips a little bit, but no,
It's the
it's
burn
been
that
good.
makes you remember.
Cool.
Look for St. Liberty when it's out. Obviously, the new Holland Spirits are out. Dragon's
Lake
Milk
Life,
Reserve. Dragon's Milk is out all the time.
Tin Cup,
Tin
Heck
Cup
yeah.
is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
CLE,
CLE,
Eiroa.
So if somebody wants one of your tin cups, where can they find that?
OriginalTinCup.com. It's
Okay.
that simple.
We'll link that on there somehow. We'll find a way. We'll always find a way. Don't you worry. But yeah,
Soon to be found.
New Holland, St. Liberty,
Butowski.
CLE Eiroa, Asylum Cigars. It's been good.
Awesome.
Let's finish
Thank
this
you,
up
guys.
and
Thank you very much, guys.
yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Hey, happy
Thank you,
birthday.
guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
happy
yeah,
birthday.
thanks.
Happy birthday.
Cheers.
Thank you for sharing
One.
that time with us. I only have
All
a
right.
glass of water.
That's
so
all right. This